You're listening to or watching the QC Step Podcast, a podcast to give you the information and the skills that you need to find a job, keep that job, and become a valuable employee. My name is Corey Finneran, and welcome to the 26th episode of the QC Step Podcast. We're going to have a shorter episode for you this week. In this episode, Gary is going to introduce a new series that he's doing on resumes. But before we do that, let's take a look at this week's job leads. I post job leads every week at qcstep.com, and a couple of them this week have online applications, and you'll find the links there, and it's under the blog post Job Leads, April 2nd, 2013. There's only a couple of job leads this week, but I guarantee you that there's a lot more businesses that are hiring. So don't just listen to these few job leads and assume that these are the only places that you can apply, because as I've said before on the podcast, you can pretty much assume that every fast food business is hiring almost all the time. I also talked an episode or two ago, actually the last few episodes, about the types of businesses that are going to be hiring here in the spring and the summer for their seasonal positions. And you should be checking with those businesses too. So here are the few job leads that I have listed on the website this week. Coca-Cola is looking for order builders, and there is a link to the online application. Arby's, the one in Moline on Avenue of the Cities, they're looking for crew members, and you can apply in person. And then Kmart in Moline, that's on Avenue of the Cities, they're looking for cashiers, and I have the link to the online application on our site. I also went to the job fair at Blackhawk College last week. I know I saw students from Rockridge there. I'm not sure if any other schools went, but I talked with the human resources person from Jumer's Casino, and there are about 4 or 5 positions that in the hotel and the casino that people can work in if they're over 18. And I have the paper application that they use and the job descriptions for all of the 4 or 5 positions that you could do if you're 18 but not yet 21. So if you're interested in applying for Jumer's, contact me through the contact form on our site at the bottom of this post. And if you're listening through iTunes or Stitcher on your smartphone, you can go to qcstep.com, find this podcast blog post, and at the bottom there's the contact form. Fill that out, it gets sent to me, and Carrie or Gary will meet with you to share information on the Jumer's positions. And we've had students that have worked with Jumer's before. They have a lot of different types of jobs there, a lot of different opportunities, and the only bad thing is that public transportation doesn't go there. And if you have access to a car, if you don't have access to a car, then it's really just not that practical. But if you do have access to a car and you're interested, like I said, fill out the contact form, and I will make sure that Gary or Carrie meets with you and gets you the information and helps you with the applications. Well, Gary Maiden is one of the transition specialist assistants with our program, and what he does, if you're in his schools, you know that he comes in and helps you with applications and resumes and stuff, and if you're not in one of Gary's schools, he does the same things that Carrie does when she meets with you. And Gary is going to start a series on resumes, and I'll play the first one today. And what he's going to do is he's going to take a resume and kind of deconstruct it, take it apart section by section, and look at the different aspects that can make your resume either very useful or very useless. So you want a useful resume, not a useless one. So he's going to help you try to figure out how to put together a resume that will help you get a job. So here's Gary introducing his new series on resumes.
Hi, I'm Gary Maiden, and I'm back to talk to you about an important job-seeking tool, the Resume. Oh, wait a second. try again. Hi, I'm Gary Maiden, and I'm back to talk to you about an important job-seeking tool, the resume. Over the next few weeks, we'll be talking about the various sections of a resume, which is basically a sales piece with you as the product being sold, and tracing those sections back to the things that you should do in order to make yourself job ready. Typically, the parts of a resume include identifying information such as your name, address, telephone number, and email address, your objective, which is a description of the job that you are seeking, your experience, your education, your skills, and your availability. We will discuss each of these with the assumption that you are looking for your first job. Most of the information will apply whether that is the case or not. With any resume, remember these basics. A resume should be visually appealing. Use a couple of different fonts and vary the size of print. Use bullet points when possible. Spelling and grammar must be perfect. When an employer gets a stack of applications for a job opening, that employer will look for quick and easy reasons for reducing that number. Poor spelling and grammar on a resume, just like poor handwriting, grammar, and spelling on an application, are reasons to do just that. Next week, we'll start with the identifying information and objective. I'll leave you with the first tip. If you spell your name wrong, you're done.
Well, that does it for this episode of the QC Step Podcast, this shorter episode. We don't have any more holidays until Memorial Day, so job leads will be posted on every Monday morning from here on out, and the podcast will come out on Tuesdays. There shouldn't be anything that changes our schedule at all. So thank you for listening and watching, and we will be back next week with another episode of the QC Step Podcast.